Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the New Horizon and looked out at the empty space around them. They had been traveling for 18 months to reach this distant star system. 300 people had left Earth behind to build humanity's first real colony beyond their home system. The journey had been long and hard, but they had finally made it. "Captain, we're getting some strange readings from the fourth planet," said Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez from her control station. She had been monitoring the ship's sensors all morning, and something was bothering her. "The energy patterns don't look like anything we've seen before." Jake walked over to look at her screen. Numbers and charts filled the display, but he couldn't make sense of what he was seeing. "What kind of patterns are we talking about?" Amy pointed to several lines on her screen that seemed to pulse in a steady rhythm. "These look like they're organized, sir. Almost like a network of some kind. But there's nothing on that planet that should be making signals like this." Dr. Carl Hughes hurried over from the science station. He was the ship's expert on alien life, though he had never actually found any before. "Captain, may I see those readings? This could be exactly what we've been hoping to find." Jake stepped back and let the doctor examine Amy's screen. Carl's eyes grew wide as he studied the data. "This is incredible. These patterns are too complex to be natural. They have structure, purpose. I think we're looking at technology." "You mean alien technology?" Jake asked. The words felt strange coming out of his mouth. Humans had been searching for signs of other intelligent life for hundreds of years, but they had never found anything real before. "That's exactly what I mean," Carl said with excitement in his voice. "These energy patterns suggest massive technological systems. The age readings indicate they could be millions of years old." Jake felt his heart start beating faster. If they had really found proof of alien civilization, it would change everything for humanity. "How sure are you about this?" "I need to get down to the planet's surface to be certain," Carl replied. "But based on what I'm seeing here, I'd say we've made the most important discovery in human history." What Jake and his crew didn't know was that at that very moment, they were being watched. Far away in a hidden station that humans couldn't detect, ancient beings observed every move the New Horizon made. These beings called themselves the Architects, and they had been watching civilizations rise and fall across the galaxy for over 10 million years. The Architects had perfected the art of observation. They could study entire species without ever being detected. They had built monitoring stations throughout the galaxy, each one designed to evaluate emerging civilizations and decide whether they were worthy of joining the greater galactic community. Commander Elena Torres led the science team that would go down to the planet's surface. She was excited, but also nervous about what they might find. "We'll take a small shuttle down for the initial survey," she told Jake. "If these readings are what Dr. Hughes thinks they are, we need to be very careful about how we proceed." The shuttle landed on the rocky surface of the fourth planet 3 hours later. Elena stepped out first, followed by Carl and 5 other team members. The planet looked dead and empty, with no signs of life anywhere. But the energy readings were stronger here than they had been from space. "The signals are coming from beneath the surface," Carl said as he checked his portable scanner. "About 200 meters down, there's something big." Elena made the decision to start digging. They had brought automated mining equipment for the colony work, so it didn't take long to drill down through the rock. What they found at the bottom of the hole left them speechless. A massive crystalline structure stretched out in all directions, bigger than any building Elena had ever seen. The crystals glowed with their own soft light, and strange symbols covered every surface. The energy readings were off the charts. "Torres to New Horizon," Elena spoke into her radio. "Captain, you need to see this. We found something that defies explanation." "What exactly are you looking at down there?" Jake's voice crackled through the radio. Elena struggled to find the right words. "It's a structure, sir. alien architecture, and it's still active after millions of years. The team set up portable lights and began to explore the crystalline chambers. The structure seemed to go on forever, with corridors and rooms branching off in every direction. The walls were covered with symbols that pulsed and changed as they watched. "This isn't just a ruin," Elena whispered to Carl as they walked deeper into the structure. "Whatever built this place, their technology is still running." Carl was recording everything with his equipment, documenting each symbol and energy pattern they encountered. The power source must be incredible to keep this operational for so long. This level of technology is far beyond what humans have achieved. What neither Elena nor Carl realized was that the structure they had found was not just an ancient ruin. It was an active monitoring station, one of thousands that the architects had built throughout the galaxy. Every species that reached a certain level of technological development eventually stumbled upon one of these stations, just as humanity had done. The station began responding to the human presence, ancient systems coming online that had been waiting for this moment. Deep within the crystalline walls, evaluation protocols activated. The test was beginning, though the humans had no idea they were being examined back on the new horizon. Jake received reports from the surface team with growing amazement. Humanity had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer, but they didn't understand what it really meant. The architects continued their silent observation, adding new data to humanity's file. Every decision the humans made, every reaction they had to the discovery, was being carefully recorded and analyzed. The evaluation had begun, and humanity's future among the stars would depend on how well they performed in tests. They didn't even know they were taking. Elena found a chamber deeper in the structure that seemed different from the others. The walls here showed images that moved like video screens, displaying star maps and scenes of distant worlds. "Carl, you need to see this. I think this place is some kind of library or database." The discovery was bigger than any of them could imagine. They had found one of the most important facilities in the galaxy, a place where the fate of entire civilizations was decided. And they had no idea that their every move was being judged by beings who had the power to determine whether humanity would be allowed to survive and prosper among the stars. Elena Torres walked deeper into the crystalline structure with her team following close behind. The strange symbols on the walls seemed to glow brighter as they moved through the corridors. Dr. Carl Hughes was busy recording everything with his equipment, but Elena could see the worry in his eyes. "Captain Morrison, we need more people down here," Elena spoke into her radio. "This place is much bigger than we first thought. We could spend months exploring all of these chambers." Jake's voice came through clearly from the ship above. "How much bigger are we talking about?" Elena looked around at the endless corridors stretching in every direction. "It's like an entire city built underground. The energy readings suggest it goes down at least 10 more levels, maybe more." What Elena didn't know was that every word she spoke was being recorded and analyzed. The architects had designed their monitoring stations to activate when discovered by emerging species. The crystalline structure was not just a library or database. It was an active testing facility that would evaluate humanity based on their actions and decisions. Carl made an important discovery in one of the larger chambers. The walls here contained what looked like historical records, showing images of different alien species and their civilizations. Some of the records were marked with golden symbols, others with silver ones, and many had stark red markings that seemed to indicate something terrible. "Elena, come look at this," Carl called out excitedly. "I think these are records of other civilizations. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands." Elena joined him in front of a wall covered with moving images. She could see different alien species in their natural environments, building cities, developing technology, and exploring space. How can you tell what the different symbols mean? I'm not completely sure yet, Carl admitted. But look at the patterns. The golden symbols seem to go with species that achieved advanced technology while living in harmony with their environments. The silver ones appear to be species with great potential, but also serious problems. Elena felt a chill run down her spine as she looked at the red markings. And what about the red ones? Carl's face grew pale as he studied the images more carefully. The red ones all seemed to end the same way. Destruction. Complete extinction. Either they destroyed themselves, or something destroyed them. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Sam Parker from the linguistics team was working on translating the alien symbols. He had set up his equipment in a smaller chamber and was making progress with the mathematical patterns behind the writing system. The language is incredibly complex, Sam reported to Elena over the radio, but it's based on mathematical principles that are universal. I'm starting to understand some basic concepts. Sam's breakthrough came when he realized that the symbols were not just writing, but also contained emotional and conceptual information. It's like each symbol carries multiple layers of meaning, not just what something is, but how it should be understood and felt. As Sam worked on the translations, he began to uncover disturbing information about the classification system. The golden species were those that had achieved what the aliens called wisdom balance. They had developed advanced technology, but had also learned to use it responsibly. The silver species were those with great potential but significant character flaws that prevented them from reaching full wisdom. They were given more time and opportunities to prove themselves worthy of joining the galactic community. The red species were those that had been judged as too dangerous to be allowed to continue existing. Sam's hands shook as he realized what this meant. Someone or something had been judging entire civilizations and deciding their fate. Dr. Hughes made another discovery that changed everything. In a chamber filled with viewing devices, he found screens that showed real-time images of human activities throughout their solar system. The images showed Earth, the moon colonies, Mars settlements, and even the New Horizon itself. Elena, they've been watching us, Carl said with shock in his voice. These screens show current activities in human space. Our cities, our ships, our colonies, everything. Elena stared at the screens in disbelief. How long had they been watching us? Carl studied the viewing devices more carefully. Based on the archived footage I can access, they've been observing humanity since we first started using radio signals. Maybe even longer. The implications were staggering. Humanity had always assumed they were alone in the universe, exploring space as the first intelligent species in their region. But they had been wrong. An advanced alien civilization had been watching their every move for decades, possibly centuries. Back on Earth, President Lisa Campbell received the expedition's reports with growing concern. She called an emergency meeting of the world's top scientists and government leaders to discuss the implications of the discovery. We need to assume that everything we do is being observed and recorded, President Campbell told the Emergency Council. Our response to this discovery could determine humanity's future. Dr. Patricia Wells, head of the Global Xenocultural Studies Institute, presented her analysis to the Council. Based on the reports from the expedition, we're dealing with a civilization that has been evaluating other species for millions of years. They have the technology to watch us without being detected, and they have a system for judging whether civilizations are worthy of survival. The realization hit everyone in the room at the same time. Humanity was being tested, and they had no idea what the criteria were or how they were performing. Meanwhile, deep in the alien facility, Elena's team made another disturbing discovery. Sam had successfully translated part of a message that appeared to be directed at any species that found the station. It's a welcome message, Sam reported, but also a warning. It says that any species advanced enough to find this place has reached a critical point in their development. From this moment forward, they will be actively evaluated to determine their worthiness to join the galactic community. Elena felt her stomach drop. You mean we're being tested right now? That's exactly what it means, Sam replied grimly. And, based on the classification system we've discovered, failing this test has permanent consequences. The alien facility continued to monitor and record every human action, every decision, every conversation. Ancient evaluation protocols were running constantly, comparing humanity's behavior to the standards that had been developed over millions of years of observing civilizations. The architects watched from their hidden stations as humanity began to understand their situation. The test had begun the moment the humans discovered the facility, and every choice they made from this point forward would be carefully analyzed and scored. Elena realized that her team's actions in the facility could determine not just their own fate, but the fate of all humanity. They were representing their entire species to judges they couldn't see, being evaluated by criteria they didn't understand. The weight of that responsibility was almost too much to bear. Dr. Carl Hughes discovered something that made his blood run cold. Deep within the alien facility, he found detailed records of what happened to the red-marked civilizations. They weren't just marked for failure and left alone. They had been actively destroyed. Elena, you need to see this immediately, Carl called out with fear in his voice. He was standing in front of a wall that showed horrifying images of planets being destroyed from space. The red civilizations weren't just failures. They were eliminated. Elena Torres hurried over to where Carl was standing. The images on the wall showed massive ships bombarding planets from orbit, stars being made to collapse and destroy entire solar systems, and diseases that spread across worlds, killing every living thing. Are you saying they murdered entire species? Elena asked, though she already knew the answer from Carl's expression. That's exactly what I'm saying, Carl replied. The records show orbital bombardments, engineered plagues, induced stellar collapse, billions of beings killed because they were judged unworthy. Captain Jake Morrison's voice came through Elena's radio with urgency. Torres, what's your status down there? We're picking up increased energy readings from your location. Elena looked around and noticed that the facility's lights were getting brighter. More systems seemed to be coming online around them. Captain, I think our presence here is activating more of the alien technology. The whole place is responding to us. Should we evacuate the team? Jake asked. Not yet, sir. We're learning too much about what we're dealing with. But we need to be very careful about what we do and say. I think everything is being recorded and analyzed. Lieutenant Sam Parker made a breakthrough with the alien language that changed everything. He had been working on translating a large message that appeared to be some kind of automatic greeting system. When he finally decoded it, the message began playing as a holographic projection. The image of a tall, ethereal being appeared in the chamber where Sam was working. The alien looked almost like a human, but was much taller and had skin that seemed to glow with its own light. When it spoke, the facility systems automatically translated the words into English. Greetings, emerging species, the holographic alien said in a voice that sounded both ancient and timeless. You have discovered one of our evaluation centers. Your civilization now stands at the most important crossroads in its history. Sam immediately called for Elena and the rest of the team. They all gathered to listen as the message continued. We are the architects, guardians of galactic stability for over 10 million years. We have observed your species since you first looked to the stars with wonder rather than fear. Your journey to this moment has been long, but it is only the beginning of your true test. Elena felt her heart pounding as she realized they were receiving a message from the beings who had been watching humanity for decades. The architects continued their explanation. Your species has shown remarkable adaptability and creativity. You have survived ice ages, diseases, wars, and disasters that have destroyed lesser civilizations. But you have also shown disturbing tendencies toward violence and destruction that concern us greatly. The holographic architect gestured, and images appeared showing human history. Wars, environmental destruction, nuclear weapons, and conflicts between different groups of humans played out in front of the startled team. Your treatment of your own planet has been troubling. Your frequent wars with each other suggest a species that may not be ready for the responsibilities that come with knowledge of the greater galactic community. Dr. Hughes stepped forward, though he knew the message was probably a recording. What do you want from us? What are you looking for? As if responding to his question, the architect continued. We evaluate emerging species based on several criteria. Your ability to cooperate rather than compete with each other. Your treatment of less advanced life forms. Your stewardship of your environment. And most importantly, your potential for wisdom rather than mere technological advancement. Commander Elena Torres realized the full scope of what was happening. They've been testing us this entire time. Every major decision humanity has made, every response to crisis, every choice about how to treat other species and our planet, it's all been part of an evaluation. The architect's message revealed more disturbing information. You have been given many opportunities to demonstrate your worthiness. Your response to the possibility of other intelligent life, your decisions in moments of great crisis, your willingness to sacrifice personal gain for the greater good. All of these have been observed and carefully recorded. Back on Earth, Doctor, Patricia Wells was analyzing the transmission that had been sent from the alien facility. She called an emergency meeting with world leaders to discuss the implications. They've been testing us for decades without our knowledge. Dr. Wells told the assembled leaders. Every first contact protocol we developed, every decision about space exploration, every response to potential threats. We've been taking an examination we didn't know existed. President Lisa Campbell asked the question everyone was thinking. How are we doing on this test? Dr. Wells looked grim as she reviewed the data. Based on what we're learning from the facility, not well. Our history of warfare, environmental destruction, and competition rather than cooperation is working against. U.S. The architect's message provided specific examples of humanity's evaluation. When you developed nuclear weapons, we watched to see if you would use them responsibly or as tools of destruction. When you began exploring space, we analyzed your motives to determine if you sought knowledge or dominance. When you encountered potential signs of extraterrestrial life, we documented your reactions. Elena realized with growing horror that many events in human history had actually been tests. The radio signals we've detected from space, the unexplained phenomena, even some of the breakthrough discoveries in science, they were all part of the evaluation. The architect confirmed her fears. We have provided subtle guidance to your species for centuries. Advanced mathematical concepts, breakthrough technologies, inspiration for your greatest achievements. We were hoping to help you evolve into a species worthy of joining the galactic community. Carl discovered records showing how other species had received similar guidance. Those who used the help to better themselves and create peaceful, sustainable civilizations received golden or silver markings. Those who used the knowledge primarily for warfare and dominance were marked in red. The guidance was a test too, Carl realized. They were seeing what we would do with advanced knowledge, whether we'd use it to help all of humanity or just to gain advantage over each other. The architect's message was nearing its end, and the final words filled everyone with dread. Your evaluation period is now entering its final phase. You have shown intelligence and ingenuity, but you have also demonstrated a concerning lack of wisdom. Your aggressive tendencies and destructive impact on your environment suggests you may pose a threat to other civilizations. Elena understood that humanity's fate was being decided at that very moment. Everything they did from now on would determine whether their species would be allowed to join the galactic community or would receive the dreaded red marking. The message concluded with words that would haunt them all. The choice is still yours to make, but time is running short. Prove that you deserve to survive and prosper among the stars, or face the consequences that have befallen every red-marked species before you. The holographic architect faded away, leaving the human team alone with the terrible knowledge that their species was failing a test that would determine their very survival. The alien facility revealed its most terrifying secret when Elena Torres discovered a chamber containing the active judgment protocols. Massive screens filled the walls, showing humanity's evaluation in real time. Numbers and charts tracked every aspect of human behavior across the galaxy. "Sam, Carl, you need to see this," Elena called out with panic in her voice. "They're not just watching us anymore. They're actively judging us right now." Lieutenant Sam Parker rushed over to where Elena was standing. The screens showed a scoring system that measured different aspects of human civilization. The numbers were not good. "Captain Morrison, we have a serious problem down here," Elena spoke into her radio. "The facility is showing us humanity's evaluation scores, and we're failing badly." Jake's voice came through with concern. "What kind of scores are we talking about?" Sam studied the displays carefully before answering. "Captain, they're scoring U.S. on a point system. Technological advancement is only worth 10% of the total score. The rest is based on wisdom, compassion, environmental care, and something they call galactic citizenship potential." Dr. Carl Hughes joined them at the displays, and his face went pale as he read the detailed breakdown. "Our nuclear weapons development dropped our score significantly. Our environmental destruction is costing us even more points. And our history of constant warfare is the biggest problem of all." The screens showed specific events from human history that had damaged their evaluation. The use of nuclear weapons in World War II, the destruction of forests and pollution of oceans, the genocides and ethnic conflicts that had plagued human civilization. "They've been keeping track of everything," Carl said with despair in his voice. "Every war, every environmental disaster, every time we chose violence over peace. It's all been recorded and scored against us." Elena discovered that the architects had actually given humanity numerous opportunities to prove their worth over the centuries. Many events that humans thought were natural or coincidental had actually been carefully planned tests. "Look at this data," Elena said, pointing to a section of the display. "The radio signal we detected in 1977 that we called the WOW signal. It wasn't a natural phenomenon. It was them testing our response to potential alien contact." Sam found more examples in the records. The Phoenix Lights incident in 1997, the various UFO sightings that governments covered up, even some of the breakthrough scientific discoveries. They were all tests to see how we would react. The most disturbing discovery was that the architects had been offering humanity subtle guidance for centuries, hoping to help them evolve into a worthy species. Advanced mathematical concepts that appeared in human minds, breakthrough technologies discovered at crucial moments, even inspiration for great works of art and literature. They were trying to help us, Carl realized with growing horror. All those moments of genius in human history, the sudden leaps in understanding and technology. They were giving us hints, hoping we would use them to become better. The record showed how other species had responded to similar guidance. The successful civilizations had used the knowledge to eliminate poverty and warfare and create sustainable societies. They had focused on the welfare of all their people rather than gaining advantage over their enemies. Humanity had used the guidance differently. Advanced mathematics had led to better weapons. Scientific breakthroughs had been used primarily for military purposes. Even space exploration had been driven more by national competition than by desire for knowledge. Captain Morrison reviewed the test scenarios from his position on the ship, and the pattern became clear. Every major challenge in human history was an opportunity to show wisdom and cooperation. Instead, we usually chose conflict and competition. Commander Elena Torres found the specific incidents that had sealed humanity's fate. The development of atomic weapons was a major test. They wanted to see if we would create them for defense only, or if we would use them against our own people. We failed that test in 1945. The environmental destruction of Earth was another critical failure. The architects had watched as humans polluted their air and water, destroyed their forests, and drove countless species to extinction. Other civilizations had learned to live in harmony with their worlds. Humans had treated their planet as something to be conquered. The space race was another test Sam discovered in the records. They wanted to see if we would explore space together as a unified species, or if we would extend our earthly conflicts into the cosmos. We chose competition over cooperation. President Lisa Campbell received these reports on Earth with growing despair. She convened an emergency session of world leaders as the full scope of humanity's failure became clear. Dr. Patricia Wells presented the devastating findings to the Global Council. Humanity has been evaluated according to standards that have been applied to thousands of civilizations over millions of years. We have consistently chosen paths that lead toward conflict and destruction rather than wisdom and cooperation. The final piece of evidence came when Elena found the architect's conclusion about humanity's future. The facility's computers had run statistical models predicting human civilization's development over the next several centuries. They're not planning to destroy us, Elena reported with a mixture of relief and horror. They don't need to. Their models predict we'll destroy ourselves within the next 200 years through environmental collapse and resource wars. The architect's judgment was delivered through the facility's main communication system. A new holographic message appeared, showing the same ethereal being they had seen before. Species designation, humanity. Evaluation number, 7,834. After extensive observation and testing, this species has been classified as a failed civilization, the architect announced with cold finality. Your species demonstrated significant potential in the areas of creativity and adaptability. However, you have consistently chosen the path of destruction over the path of wisdom. You have shown preference for warfare over cooperation, exploitation over stewardship, and pride over humility. Elena felt tears forming in her eyes as she listened to humanity's final judgment. The evidence is overwhelming. Your response to advanced knowledge has been to create more effective weapons. Your treatment of your planet shows disregard for long-term survival. Your social structures promote inequality and conflict rather than unity and peace. The message continued with examples of humanity's failures. When faced with global challenges, you have chosen national competition over species cooperation. When given opportunities for peace, you have prepared for war. When shown the consequences of environmental destruction, you have continued destructive practices for short-term gain. Captain Morrison listened to the transmission from his ship with a growing realization that humanity's fate was sealed. What happens now? He asked Elena over the radio. The architect's message provided the answer. Quarantine protocols will be activated immediately. Your species will be contained within your local stellar region. Any attempt to expand beyond these boundaries will result in immediate intervention. Elena understood what this meant. Humanity would be trapped forever in their small corner of the galaxy, cut off from the vast community of civilizations that existed among the stars. The final words of the judgment filled everyone with despair. You had every opportunity to prove your worthiness. The choice was always yours to make. You chose poorly, and now it is too late. The architects delivered their final judgment through every screen in the alien facility. Captain Jake Morrison watched helplessly from the new horizon as the massive energy systems around the planet began activating. What he saw on his ships, sensors filled him with horror. "Elena, get your team out of there now," Jake ordered through the radio. "I'm reading massive energy buildups throughout this entire star system. Something big is happening." Commander Elena Torres looked around the facility as the crystalline walls began glowing brighter than ever before. The alien technology was coming to full power for the first time in millions of years. "Captain, the facility is sealing itself. The passages we used to enter are closing off." Dr. Carl Hughes monitored his instruments as the quarantine system activated around them. "Elena, look at these readings. They're not trying to kill us. They're building some kind of barrier around our entire solar region." Lieutenant Sam Parker discovered the truth when he accessed the facility's final protocols. It's not just a barrier. It's a cage made of pure energy. They're sealing off our part of space from the rest of the galaxy. The architect's solution was both elegant and terrible. Rather than destroy humanity outright, like they had done to other failed species, they chose a different approach. They would simply ensure that human expansion into the galaxy would be impossible forever. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez detected the massive energy grid forming around Earth's solar system from her position on the ship. "Captain, it's like a wall of energy surrounding our entire region of space. Nothing can get through it from either direction." Jake realized what this meant for humanity's future. They're not going to destroy us. They're going to trap us here and let us destroy ourselves. Elena's team watched through the facility's viewing screens as the quarantine barrier completed its formation. The energy wall stretched across light years of space, completely surrounding the area that contained Earth and all of humanity's colonies. Any human ship that tries to cross that barrier will simply stop working, Carl explained as he studied the technical readouts. The energy field will cause complete system failures in any technology we try to use beyond this boundary. Sam found the most chilling part of the quarantine protocol in the facility's records. They're not just stopping us from leaving. They're also blocking all our attempts to communicate with the outside galaxy. Every radio signal, every message we try to send into deep space will be absorbed by the barrier. The architect's final transmission explained their reasoning. Species 7834, designation humanity, has been classified as a failed civilization. However, your species has shown enough creativity and adaptability that we will not eliminate you directly as we have done with others. Elena felt a cold chill as she realized what was coming next. Instead, quarantine protocols are now active. Your species will remain contained within your local stellar region. Statistical analysis indicates that your civilization will collapse naturally within 2 centuries due to your own destructive tendencies. Commander Torres made the most horrifying discovery when she accessed the facility's prediction models. They've run computer simulations of our future. Environmental destruction, resource wars, social collapse. They predict we'll wipe ourselves out by the year 2200. The screens show detailed projections of humanity's decline. Rising sea levels from climate change would flood coastal cities. Wars over fresh water and farmable land would tear apart nations. Nuclear weapons would eventually be used again as resources became scarce. "They're going to watch us destroy ourselves," Elena said with despair in her voice. "We're like animals in a zoo, except the zoo is our entire region of space." Back on Earth, President Lisa Campbell addressed the world as the reality of their situation became clear. The revelation that humanity had been judged and found wanting sent shockwaves through every nation on the planet. Dr. Patricia Wells tried to find some hope in the situation as she spoke to the Emergency Global Council. Perhaps this is not an ending, but a beginning. We now know what we must become. We know the standards we failed to meet. But the damage was already done. The architect's judgment was final and irreversible. Humanity would remain trapped in their corner of the galaxy, cut off from the vast community of civilizations that thrived among the stars. Captain Morrison's instruments showed him the full scope of the quarantine system. The energy barrier extends in all directions around our solar region. Even if we could travel at the speed of light, it would take us decades just to reach the edge of our cage. Elena discovered that the facility would remain active to monitor humanity's decline. They're going to keep watching us, recording everything we do as we slowly destroy ourselves. We're a case study for them now. The alien facility began powering down as its primary function was complete. The evaluation was over, the judgment delivered, and the quarantine established. But the monitoring systems would continue operating for centuries to come. They want to document exactly how a failed civilization ends, Sam realized as he read the facility's ongoing mission parameters. Every war we fight, every environmental disaster, every step toward our own extinction will be recorded for their files. Dr. Hughes found records showing that this had happened to other species before. Look at these files. Civilization 3421, trapped in their home system and extinct within 150 years. Civilization 5889, quarantined and gone in 300 years. The pattern is always the same. Elena's final report to Captain Morrison carried the weight of humanity's failure. The facility is going into monitoring mode. The architects are done with us, except to watch us die. We had our chance to join the galactic community, and we failed. Jake Morrison's last log entry from the mission was broadcast to Earth and became part of the historical record. We always wondered if we were alone in the universe. Now we know the truth that will haunt humanity forever. We are not alone. The galaxy is full of life, full of civilizations that earned their place among the stars through wisdom and cooperation. We had our chance to join them. We had every opportunity to prove we deserved to be part of something greater. But we failed. The test we didn't know we were taking. We chose war over peace, greed over generosity, and destruction over creation. The quiet species was watching, and they saw everything they needed to see. The facility powered down to minimum operations, leaving behind only the energy barrier that would forever separate humanity from the rest of the galaxy. The architects returned to their hidden stations, adding another failed civilization too. Their vast database. Humanity's greatest tragedy was not that they were alone in the universe. It was that they had proven themselves unworthy of the companionship they had always dreamed finding among the stars. They had been judged by beings far older and wiser than themselves, and they had been found wanting. The quiet species had been watching, and now it was too late.